If NASA announced tomorrow that it found life on Mars, what would you do? You would probably celebrate, you would share the news, you would say, finally, you would feel that humanity is no longer alone in this vast cosmos. This is exactly what you should feel. And the scientists who truly understand what is happening would sit in complete silence, because they would know something you do not yet know. That this news might mean the end of humanity. 1950, lunch at Los Alamos, New Mexico. Four of the sharpest minds in the history of science sitting at one table. The conversation is light, talking about the strange aircraft filling the newspapers. Then, one of them suddenly goes quiet. He raises his head, looks at his colleagues and asks, "Where are they?" 3 words from a man named Enrico Fermi, the man who helped build the first nuclear reactor in history. And these 3 words still haunt scientists to this day, because the question is simple and terrifying at the same time. The galaxy has 400 billion stars. Most of them have planets. The universe is 13 billion years old. The Earth itself appeared billions of years late, meaning there are civilizations that had more time than us by billions of years. By the numbers, the cosmos should be teeming with life. Our skies should be full of endless signals. We should see civilizations building stars and moving planets. It should be impossible not to see anyone. But we see nothing. The silence is absolute. Where are they? 1996. A researcher named Hanson proposed an answer simple in form and terrifying in meaning. He said, between dead chemistry and a civilization that crosses the stars, there is a barrier. One thing or multiple things so difficult to pass that they eliminate almost everything before it arrives. This is the great filter. And the only question that matters is, where is this barrier? Behind us or ahead of us? If the barrier is behind us, that means something in the past was so difficult to pass it was nearly impossible, and that we somehow made it through. We are the rare miracle, the exception that does not repeat itself in an entire galaxy. What could this barrier have been? 2 billion years ago, something happened on Earth that did not repeat itself in its entire history. A bacterial cell swallowed another cell, but instead of digesting it, they coexisted. The swallowed cell became what we call the mitochondria, the source of energy in every complex living cell on this planet. Without this event, there are no plants, no animals, no humans, nothing. And this event happened exactly once in 4 billion years of life's history on Earth. Once. Perhaps this is the barrier. Perhaps the universe is full of planets with bacteria that breathe and reproduce and die, but will never become anything more, because the incident that made life complex was so extraordinarily rare that it never happened anywhere else. If this is true, then we are the miracle, and we are responsible for something whose weight cannot be imagined. But what if the barrier is ahead of us? If the barrier is ahead of us, that means reaching where we have reached any technological civilization is actually the easy step, and what comes after is what eliminates everyone. And if this is true, where is the evidence? The evidence is the silence itself. If even one civilization in the history of our galaxy had survived and reached a level advanced enough to colonize stars, it would have covered the entire galaxy in 100 million years. 100 million years sounds like a lot, but it is less than 1% of our galaxy's age. We would have evidence that cannot be explained by anything else. The cosmos would be loud, but it is silent. That means either civilizations are rare to a staggering degree, or they appear and disappear before they spread. And if they disappear, by what? Nuclear weapons have existed for only 78 years, and in this short time we have had multiple moments where we came terrifyingly close to catastrophe. 1962, a Soviet submarine trapped underwater. No communication with Moscow. An officer believes the war has begun. He wants to launch a nuclear torpedo. The protocol says 3 officers must agree. 2 agreed. The 3rd refused. 1 man refused, and you are breathing today because of his decision. 1983. A Soviet officer sees American missiles on his screen. The protocol says report immediately. Instead, he decided alone, at 3 in the morning, that it was a technical error. He was right. Had he been a different man in that moment, perhaps there would have been no morning after. And these are only the incidents we know about. Nuclear weapons are not the only danger. Climate change is a civilization that has altered the composition of its planet and wonders whether it can stop this change or not. And artificial intelligence is a civilization building a mind it does not fully understand and deploying it everywhere before knowing how to ensure it wants their survival. Perhaps this is the pattern. Perhaps every civilization builds the technology that destroys it, and the danger does not come from one direction, but from 10 directions at the same time. Now we return to the question at the beginning. If we find bacteria on Mars, why would this be bad news? Because it means life is not rare. And if it is not rare, then the barrier is not behind us, not in the emergence of life, not in the evolution of the complex cell. All of these are behind us and we passed them. And if we pass them, and if we see no advanced civilizations, even though many civilizations met all the early conditions, then the barrier is ahead of us, waiting, as it waited for everyone who came before us. Bacteria on Mars means welcome, you are next. But there is another possibility, a possibility that makes everything different. What if we are the miracle? What if the barrier is truly behind us? What if the universe has more than 400 billion stars in our galaxy alone, and in all this vast space, consciousness and curiosity and the ability to question appeared exactly once? Here, on this small planet around an ordinary star in an outer arm of an average galaxy. If this is true, then we are not just another civilization in a universe full of civilizations. We are perhaps the only civilization that looked up and asked. And if we choose to destroy ourselves, perhaps no one will ask this question after us in this galaxy. This is what makes every decision now different. Not because the news says it matters, not because anyone is asking you to care, but because if the barrier is behind us, we are the miracle that must survive. And if the barrier is ahead of us, then every day that passes without catastrophe is a day we proved we might be different from those who came before us. The cosmos has been silent for 13 billion years. Perhaps because no one has yet appeared who deserves to speak, or perhaps because everyone who appeared before us never learned how to be silent about the small things and listen to the big ones. The question Fermi left was never answered, but the answer might determine who we are and what we will become. Where are they? Perhaps the more accurate question is, will we still be here in 1,000 years for anyone to ask us?